Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Molly.
Today, we are going to be talking about a mini-series, one focusing on the 101st Airborne during World War II. In the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment, we have Easy Company. So, we're going to be talking about Band of Brothers.
Yep. It is a mini-series, as you said, but it is quite long. All the episodes are pretty long. So there's lots of content.
Yeah. Now, before we get into the rest of Band of Brothers, let me give you a brief overview of the history of paratroopers in general. During the First World War, it was theorized that men dropped behind enemy lines could stir up some havoc. So, American forces were planning on doing that in early 1919. However, the end of the war prevented them from doing that. So, the first time paratroopers would be used would be during peacetime by the Soviet Union.
What's peacetime?
Not during war.
Oh, that makes sense, I guess. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Later on, Germany would implement its own parachute infantry division with its Fallschirmjägers. The Fallschirmjägers would provide the basis for American paratroopers during the Second World War, and the rest has been history since.
Oh, that's very, very interesting. I didn't know that.
So, this series had a massive cast of characters. So, in all honesty, this might be our longest single review we've done yet. But, we'll see.
Okay. We'll get through it.
One sec. Band of Brothers featured some of the first appearances from a lot of actors we know today.
Yeah, I noticed there's lots of big names in this. And when did you say it aired?
2001.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was this series featured, like I said, a huge cast of characters. Some of the big names that came out after this were guys like Tom Hardy, Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, Jimmy Fallon made an appearance at some point too, Simon Pegg, Andrew Scott.
Yeah, lots of big names.
But our main cast of characters featured. It's still quite a big one.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We have Damian Lewis playing Major Richard Winters. Winters had the most episodes focused on him, so he's probably the closest to a main character this series had, given its ensemble cast.
Yeah, I'd say if you would ask me who's the main character, I would definitely say it was him.
So just going off of the characters who had their own episodes, episodes 1, 2, 5, and 10 were all centered around Winters. He had 4 episodes out of the 10, so he's pretty much the main character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Episode 3 focused on another character, Albert Blythe, who was played by... Say something real quick.
Okay.
Mark Warren.
Sorry, I couldn't think of anything to say.
Episode 4 was focused on Bull Ranelin, played by Michael Cudlitz. Episode 6 was focused on Doc Eugene Rowe, played by Shane Taylor.
Yep.
Episode 7 was centered around Carwood Lipton, played by Donnie Wahlberg.
Yep.
Episode 8 was focused on David Webster, played by Eon Bailey. Episode 9 was focused on Lewis Nixon, played by Ron Livingston.
Yep.
And those are just the ones that had episodes focused on them. You have other characters such as Sergeant Joe Toy, played by Kirk Acevedo, Colonel Robert Singh, played by Dale Dye, the military advisor for this series and for other war movies and TV shows such as Band of Brothers. Not Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan. We're talking about Band of Brothers.
Yeah, that's okay.
George Luz, played by Rick Gomez. Donald Malarkey, played by Scott Grimes. Bill Garnier, played by Frank John Hughes. Frank Picani, played by James Matteo. Buck Compton, played by Neil McDonough. Joseph Ramirez, played by Rene Moreno. Herbert Sobel, played by David Schwimmer. Now, at the time, Schwimmer was probably the biggest name they had for this series, given that he was starring on Friends at the time.
Yeah, and he plays the worst character.
I don't know about the worst, but he's up there.
Yeah, he is up there.
Skip Muck, played by Richard Speight Jr., who you know recognize from Supernatural.
That is correct.
Ronald Spears, played by Matthew Settle. Antonio Garcia, played by Douglas Spain. Harry Welsh, played by Rick Warden. Johnny Martin, played by Dexter Fletcher, who, like the first names I mentioned, has come into his own lately. He was the one that Fox chose to replace known pedophile Bryan Singer as the director of Bohemian Rhapsody. Plus, he also got to do his own British musician biopic in Rocket Man.
Very, very interesting.
And Joseph Liebgott, played by Ross McCall.
Mm-hmm. Lots of characters.
Lots of them indeed. So, this was your first time viewing this series. What did you think of it overall?
Well, overall it was a very interesting and moving miniseries.
Yeah, I agree. I like that this was made as a miniseries as opposed to a movie, because we were able to get much more character development and much more accuracy in regards to the characters in their real life counterparts.
Yeah, there's so many characters. There's a lot to get through. So a movie would definitely not do it justice.
I agree. In a movie, we'd probably only focus on Winners and a few other guys. Which, to be fair, I would have liked to see more character development from other characters, just more moments sprinkled in here and there. But for what we got, I feel like everyone got their fair shake.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, me personally, this is one of my favorite TV shows of all time.
It's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, it's really a really intense and it's a really emotionally driven story, which figures given that this is taking place during the Second World War.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna expect?
Well, let's briefly go over each of the episodes, and let's talk about what we like about them and all that.
Okay, sounds good, but I will warn you, I don't remember like the first 5.
That's okay. I'll help jog your memory.
All right, thank you.
All right, so episode 1 deals with them in training. This is probably the most low-key episode aside from the last one. We get to see Captain Sobel and how much of a giant douche nozzle he was.
Yeah, not a very good captain, I guess.
Which, side note, the real life Easy Company members have said that Sobel's disciplinary attitude was what helped them survive through the war. He made them tough, and he made Easy Company. They've credited him with.
Oh, very nice.
Nobody liked him still, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the only one who tried to keep in contact with him was Garnier, and even then, it was still not. He still didn't have very much success with that.
Yeah.
Sobel would later rise to the rank of lieutenant colonel during his time in the army, and unfortunately, he He attempted to commit suicide by shooting himself, but he only ended up severing his optical nerves and left him blind for the rest of his life. He would end up dying in a military care facility of malnutrition. A pretty horrible way to go, and maybe he wasn't a terribly good person, but I don't think he deserved that.
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
Now, we get to see Sobel's incompetence throughout this episode. He's not a very good leader. He's always dealing out horrible punishments to anyone he can. And I know this is a little weird for me to say, coming off of how he ended, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what he would do.
And was ultimately a very petty man in the eyes of his men. Which, yeah, during my time in the army, I found guys just like him, people who just want to make things difficult for everyone else because they can. They feel the need to make what's already a pretty stressful environment even more so, just because. Well, let's not mince words about it, because they're a jackass.
Yeah, all right.
Although by the end of the episode, when Sobel has his command of Easy Company taken away from him, you can't help but feel a little sorry for him, just a little bit.
Yeah, you do feel a little. But, yeah, what you gonna do?
This is, of course, coming off of the heels of him trying to character assassinate Winters for not inspecting the latrine, which this incident did happen in real life. He supposedly Sobel tried to reach out to him to tell him that his latrine duty was moved, but the word never got to Winters.
Yeah, that would be a problem, I guess.
But the episode ends with them flying off to jump into Normandy.
Yep.
Now, episode 2 is when they finally get into action. We get to see how everyone deals with combat for the first time, and we get to see how much more of an effective leader Winters is than Sobel ever would have been.
Yeah, he is quite different. I mean, he's one of my favorite characters, so that definitely tells you that I like him a lot more.
We also see, well, like I said, we see how these men deal with being in combat for the first time. One character in particular, Garnier, before they jumped, found out that his brother had been killed in Monte Cassino. So he's on a warpath trying to kill every German he could find.
Yep. Which, I don't know. Would they do that in real life? Or would they keep that a secret?
Well, it wasn't the army who told Garnier. It was Sergeant Martin's wife who told Martin in a letter.
Oh,
Garnier accidentally took Martin's jacket that had the letter inside.
Yeah, I remember that. Did that really happen?
That did.
Oh, wow.
You'll find that this series is very accurate to what happened. There's some inaccuracies here and there, which we will get to, but it is very accurate.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
Episode 3 has them still in Normandy. They're working their way through the area, trying to achieve their objective, and, well, of course they do.
Yep, they sure do.
Episode 3 has one of the more strange inaccuracies, which, again, we'll get to when it comes, but it covers the character of Albert Blythe. Like I said, we'll get there when we get there.
Okay, we'll get there when we get there, yeah.
Episode 4 covers Operation Market Garden, where the Allied forces jumped into Holland so that they can try to bring an end to the war earlier. Didn't work.
Nope, did not work.
Yeah. Operation Market Garden, as it was called, was a total cluster. The plan was put together in like a week, and the Allied command was in such high spirits after their string of victories that they decided, let's just throw this thing together. It'll be fine.
That seems.
It was not fine.
Yeah, that seems chaotic.
It was.
I could tell.
And in this episode, we see another character, Roy Cobb, who I'm just going to cover this inaccuracy right now, here and now, because I'm going to forget later. They kind of make this character in particular look a bit worse than his real life counterpart. Now, supposedly in real life he wasn't as much of a douchebag as he was here, but he stops one of these replacements from wearing a presidential unit citation that the unit had earned for their action in Normandy. Now, the way this unit citation works is if you're part of that unit, even if you didn't technically earn it with everyone else, you are allowed to wear it.
I don't know. I don't even remember this.
And now, if you transfer to another unit, you wouldn't have the right to wear that anymore. But for the time you are with that unit, you can wear it if you were technically with the unit at the time that they earned it.
Okay.
Now, Cobb, he pointed out that this guy didn't fight in Normandy. Well, neither did Cobb.
Yeah.
Though, technically speaking, that was because he was hit on the plane while everyone else was jumping. So he had to be flown back to England in order to recuperate. So it's not an instance of cowardice. It's just bad luck.
Yeah.
Especially since this guy in particular had been in the army for around 9 years at this point and was still a private, while seeing everyone around him get promoted.
I guess. So 9 years in the army without a promotion's pretty rare.
Yeah. So maybe he was just not a great soldier. Maybe that's why he kept getting passed over.
Maybe.
This is all speculation, of course. We don't actually know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, episode 5. It's like I said, this one is from Winter's perspective, and it's a bit out of order. We see him writing up a report about what happened during him writing an after-action report of Easy Company. At this time, Winters is in command of the company, and he's just trying to get all his thoughts about this particular action out there.
Yeah.
At the end of the episode, we get to see them marching into Bastogne for the infamous Battle of the Bulge, the last major German offensive during World War II.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Basically, during this, Germany made a last-ditch effort to push through Allied lines, which created a bulge in the lines.
Oh, that's why they call it Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Episode 6 features them in the woods near Bastogne trying to survive, essentially. It focuses on Doc Rowe, and while he is just doing his absolute best to help everyone around him.
Yeah, he always seems like he's running around, can't catch a break. But I guess when you're a medic, you're gonna be busy a lot during war.
Yeah, we see him make friends with a French nurse who he meets, who's also been helping U.S. troops, and later on, and since he's Cajun, he's able to speak French with her.
Yeah. Might have the hots for her,
Maybe. But later on at the end of the episode, we see that she dies in a bombing.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate.
Episode 8, they're still in Bastogne. Well, no, they're not in Bastogne. They're outside of the town of Foy. And we're seeing that Easy Company's newest commander, Lieutenant Dyke, is he's not very effective.
Yeah, he's not a good leader.
Now this is also a bit of a contention, considering Lieutenant Dyke wasn't necessarily a coward. He just was over his head.
Yeah.
In real life, the man earned 2 Bronze Stars for bravery during actions in the Battle of the Bulge. So he wasn't a coward by any means.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he wasn't seen in a very favorable light by the men, with even Winters not really being one for giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
At one point, he freezes up while they were assaulting the town, which didn't happen that way in real life. In real life, he was shot in the shoulder, which would send any of us into a craze.
Yeah. I would think so.
This is the last straw for Winter, so he replaces Dyke with Lieutenant Spears, who I love Spears.
He's a pretty cool guy.
Spears had been under some controversy at the time for some quote-unquote war crimes he may or may not have committed.
Yeah. May or may not have. It's unclear.
A bit unclear. But moving on, we see throughout this episode that the real leader of Easy Company has been their first sergeant, Carwood Lipton. I've had this happen. Okay, not as bad in instance as this, but I've had this happen where my company's first sergeant is usually the stronger leader than the actual company commander is.
I wouldn't know, obviously.
Episode 8 features the return of David Webster, who had been wounded a few episodes prior. Now, a thing that a lot of these men have been doing was whenever they would get wounded, and sent to the hospital, they would usually go AWOL to rejoin the company. Webster didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him.
No, I don't either, but this still rubbed a lot of the guys the wrong way, so he had to basically earn his way back into the company.
Yeah,
Also, in this episode, we see a Green Lieutenant just out of West Point, played by Tom Hanks' actual son, Colin Hanks.
What is a Green Lieutenant?
Like, new.
Oh, that makes sense.
If you're green, you're new.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I don't know all the lingo.
That's not even just a military term. That's just a term in general for someone who's new.
Okay, sorry.
It's like plants. When they're new, they're green.
I guess.
Anyways, I feel like his character has some parallels with his actor.
How so?
Well, Colin Hanks got this job probably by being the son of Tom Hanks, the guy who's executive producing this series. This series was more or less Tom Hanks' baby, so whatever he says goes.
Yeah. So yeah, that definitely helped him get that job for sure.
Now, Lieutenant Jones, like I said, is fresh out of West Point. He literally graduated on the day that Easy Company jumped into Normandy on June 6th. So he has a lot to prove, and to a lot of the guys there, it seems like he's just thrown in there because he took the easy way out to be an officer. Although West Point is not an easy school to get into.
Yeah, but yeah, the guys, they definitely
they don't respect.
They're not
him.
a fan. Yeah.
But along the way, Lieutenant Jones earns the respect of the men, and Colin Hanks has proven himself to be a fantastic actor in his own right. Yeah, he did good work in movies like King Kong and Elvis and Nixon, so I'd say he's earned his nepotism.
He was in King Kong?
Yeah, he was Jack Black's assistant.
Oh.
Moving on, episode 9. This is probably one of the more well-known episodes. This is the episode where they find a concentration camp.
Yeah. So heavy stuff.
Very. Given that Spielberg is also an executive producer on this, we know he can do that subject matter very well, given Schindler's List.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's proved that.
Episode 10 is the end of the war. We see what these people are doing during the waning hours of the war, and we get to know what they do after the war.
Yeah. So, wait, what episode was this?
Episode 10.
Okay. I guess I thought there was an episode in between.
Between 9 and 10?
Well, obviously the numbers no. Don't make me sound stupid, but I thought something else happened in between there, but I guess not. But anyways, yeah, episode 10 was a good ending to the series.
Yes, it was. Also, at throughout the episodes, at the beginning of each episode, we saw interviews from old men who you can assume are members of Easy Company, but we don't know who they are, which helps with not knowing who's going to make it out of this series. But at the end of episode 10, we find out who they all are.
Yeah, I like how they did that with the real people who fought in the war, because that really makes the stakes are high because we don't know who is surviving and who's not. But at the end, we do get to see who these people were.
And at the end of the episode, we get a narration from Winters detailing what well, not necessarily every member of Easy Company did after war, but a good amount of them.
Yeah, some of the ones that had more focus.
We get to find out pretty interesting stuff about some of them, such as Buck Compton becoming a prosecutor in Los Angeles and prosecuting Sirhan Sirhan for the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy.
Pretty cool.
He would also later become a judge in the Court of Appeals in California.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Also, when George Luz died, he had 1,600 people attend his funeral.
Popular guy.
Yeah. Well, you saw him in the series. This guy was an absolute blast. As of when we're recording this, which is June of 2024, there are no living members of Easy Company currently surviving.
Yeah, well, that was a long time ago, so...
The last surviving member was Bradford Clark Freeman. He died on July 3rd, 2022 at the age of 97.
Quite a long life.
He was a paratrooper and a mortarman who participated in almost every major engagement in Europe during the war. He was at Normandy, the Battle of the Bulge, Operation Market Garden.
Yeah, did quite a lot.
So, yeah. These men may be dead, but this series is keeping their memory alive for generations at this point.
Yeah. Very cool.
Now, would you like to know what this series did get wrong?
Yes, I would. I think that would be interesting.
Okay, so, like I said, one of the more major inaccuracies has to do with the character of Albert Blythe. Now, in his episode, he's seen being having gone blind in the middle of the battle in Carrington. This did happen. He went blind spontaneously, and he got his sight back after he talked to Winters at the aid station.
That's weird.
That did happen.
Interesting.
Later on, we see him get shot in the neck. In real life, he was shot in the collarbone or shoulder, but I'm not going to quibble about that inaccuracy. It's just,
Yeah.
And in the end, at the end of the episode, it's said that he died of his wounds in 1948. Except he didn't.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, he actually died in 1967 while serving in the Army.
So why did they put that in there?
Well, for some reason, the guys in Easy Company thought he died. Stephen Ambrose, when he wrote the book Band of Brothers, he just didn't question it because he probably figured, these guys know what they're talking about.
Yeah, you would think.
And it wasn't until after this series aired that the truth came out about Blythe having lived for over 20 years after he got wounded.
Yeah, so his wounds weren't that bad.
Not really, no.
If he can still live after him, yeah.
Yeah, but imagine if Blythe didn't die in 1967. If he managed to live until the series aired, and if he's just watching this and he sees that there's a whole episode based about him.
Yeah, I'd be confused. Like, why didn't they reach out to me?
And then he sees why. Albert Blythe died in 1948.
What?
Huh?
Yeah, I'd be upset. I'm like, man, I'm still alive.
On the other hand, it Could be a little funny though.
It would be funny, yeah.
It's like, oh, I didn't know I died.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another one of the most egregious mistakes is in episode 9. Now, the concentration camp that they came across was a Kaffering concentration camp complex. It was a series of subcamps of the Dachau concentration camp.
Okay.
Dachau was one of the first concentration camps that the Nazis set up.
All right. I did not know that.
The inaccuracy isn't there. It's at the beginning of the episode we see we see a date. I think it was like May 11th. No, I was wrong. It was April 11th at the start. We see Nixon and a couple other guys watching over this bombed out city, watching as the Germans clean up their the mess that's been made of their country. Then it flashes back to a couple weeks prior, that shows them actually coming across the concentration camp and all the events leading up to that. Then at the end of the episode, we get back to our original date, and Nixon tells them that Hitler died. No, he didn't die at the time. He still had a few weeks left in him.
I wouldn't know.
Now, it's come out from one of the writers that this was a mistake in editing. No big deal then.
Yeah, mistakes happen, you know.
Yeah, but like we said, this is still one of the more interesting and very accurate miniseries I've ever seen. Like the amount of accuracies in this thing are, well, it's too much to list in one video, but I'm going to try to name some of the more interesting ones anyways.
All right, have at it.
So, in episode 10, we see Captain Spears chewing out Alton Moore for supposedly taking something that he wanted, which we find out is Hitler's photo album. He did actually take that.
Pretty funny, yeah.
We also see Winters in Welsh splitting some silverware. That also happened.
Mm-hmm. Pretty cool.
Speaking of Spears, the whole subject about his killing POWs it's a bit of a gray area, I'd say.
Yeah, so that's true in real life. Don't really know what happened there.
I don't want to say he did it. And I've seen online where Spears himself said that he did it, but I'm not sure of those sources.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't be too sure.
But let's say for the benefit of the doubt that he did do it. You got to understand the position that these guys are in. They're in the middle of an invasion. They don't have the facilities nor the resources to take care of prisoners of war. They can't just turn them loose because they just rejoin the army and probably kill them later. They're in a very tough spot. Plus, they were also told not to take prisoners.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's just how the situation was.
I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying it's a tough situation.
Yeah, it is. Tough situation.
But what is true is that at one point, Spears did shoot one of his own men for being drunk and not following orders in the middle of war.
Oh, wow.
So that
like shot to kill him?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Now that I feel like is justified given the situation.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Other things that were 100% true, also in episode 10, Sergeant Grant gets shot by another soldier trying to steal his Jeep. He got shot in the head, and Spears went looking all over town for a brain surgeon who can help him. Grant did, in fact, survive, and he ended up going back home and owning a cigar shop.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So there's a wealth of things that happen in this. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the little details that you're like, surely that didn't really happen.
But it did.
Yeah.
Oh, one more inaccuracy. Liebgott was said to be Jewish in this series. Technically speaking, he wasn't, or was, depending on how you look at things.
What does that mean?
Well, he had Jewish ancestry, but he was a practicing Roman Catholic.
Okay. That does make sense, yeah.
The other guys just thought he was Jewish.
Yeah. I get it.
So, there's also some pretty fun trivia about this series, too. For one, both Donald Malarkey and Richard Winters were blonde in real life, but were played by redheads.
Fun little thing.
Kind of funny that it happened twice.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so the real life veterans had some input on the series as well. They wanted to make sure that the characters were in the real spots that the real people were, and made sure they said and did things that the real people did and said.
Yeah, which really helps with its accuracy.
And sometimes the actors would they'd become real good friends, only to find out that their characters were good friends in real life too.
Fun.
So a lot of the appeal of this series for these actors was well, for one, they wanted to play characters in a World War II setting, and they wanted to work with Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg, which who wouldn't?
Yeah, pretty good. It's pretty good setup there. Yeah.
But before this happened, they had to go through a boot camp ran by Dale Dye. Like I said, the guy who helped prepare the actors for Saving Private Ryan. This helped them get into character and to really immerse themselves in the details.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which I like it when they do this for movies and TV shows, to help them not necessarily understand 100% what these brave men have been through, but to give them an idea of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that would really help with the characters.
Heck, I was in the Army, but I didn't go through, a single percent of what these guys went through.
Yeah.
I was never in any danger when I was in the Army. It was just pretty smooth sailing for the most part.
Yeah. So yeah, quite a different experience.
Let's see. So these actors also read for different parts. So maybe some casting changes could have been changed if they made a different decision. Yeah, no duh, Tyler. Well, you just went a roundabout way of saying absolutely nothing. Good job, idiot.
Anyways, keep going.
Matthew Settle auditioned for Nixon. I feel like Ron Livingston was the best choice for that role.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
He's the guy who played Nixon.
No, the other guy. The first name you mentioned. What did you just...
Matthew Settle played Spears.
Oh, okay. See, that's all I asked.
James Maddew auditioned for Garnier, Percane.
Okay.
Donnie Wahlberg auditioned for Spears.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard Spy Jr. auditioned for Malarkey, among others.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could have affected how everything was, obviously. I think the characters turned out well, though. I think all the right choices were made.
Yeah. Whoever was doing the casting for this series did a bang up job. Everyone fits their role. No one's out of place. Even David Schwimmer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was good.
Which I'm not one for Friends, but he is pretty good in this series. I absolutely hated Sobel in this series.
Yeah, and that's the point. So, yeah, he did a good job.
Most of the actors who played one of the Toccoa men, the guys who were there from the beginning, did go through this boot camp, except for a few.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Warren didn't participate so that it helped in them not really know Blythe too much in the series.
Yeah.
Philip Baratini, the man who played Sisk, had prior commitment, so he wasn't able to. And Nicholas Aaron, the guy who played Popeye Wynn, was a week late for a similar reason.
Yeah. Interesting.
David Schwimmer was isolated from most of the cast so that they would have a sense of resentment towards him.
That makes sense, yeah. I think that helped.
At one point, his only friend on set was Simon Pegg, who played Sobel's right-hand man for Sergeant Evans.
That makes sense, yeah.
Captain Dye also gave him some preferential treatment. He let him go to the hospital when he was injured. Other points, they just had the guy who was playing Doc Rowe patch the actors up.
Nice.
But this actually backfired because Schwimmer took the opportunity to smuggle in candy and other stuff for the guys. So,
Yeah.
Which the actor who was playing Liebgott, he went to David Schwimmer in order to really understand the Jewish perspective of coming across a concentration camp.
Yeah.
So, yeah, David Schwimmer, turns out he's a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, I guess so.
Webster wasn't in episodes 6 and 7, like we said, so his actor, Ian Bailey, went on a vacation to India while the rest of the cast was filming. This also helped with their resentment towards him, because it's like, oh, this guy got to go take a trip in the middle of filming? Screw him.
Yeah, that would help. That would help the resentment for sure.
The actors playing replacements also didn't participate in the boom camp, so that in addition helped them have the others feel resentment towards them.
I could see that, yeah.
The one exception was Robin Lang, who played Babe Heffron. Heffron was real good friends with Garnier because they were from the same neighborhood in Philly. They just never met each other up until that point.
Oh, that's funny.
It's pretty interesting, though.
Yeah, it is.
So all these actors are playing Americans, but a good amount of them were actually British.
Dang.
You would never guess from this series, though.
No, I wouldn't. No.
The list of them who were British were Damian Lewis, who played Winters, Ross McCall as Liebgott, Shane Taylor as Doc Rowe, which he does a pretty fantastic Louisiana accent.
Yeah.
Mark Warren, Matthew Leach, Rick Warden, Tim Matthews, Craig Heaney, Tom Hardy, of course, James McAvoy, Simon Pegg. And there's also some non-Brits, including Michael Fassbender, who's German and Irish, Andrew Scott, who is also Irish, and Peter O'Meara, who is also Irish, like I said.
That's pretty impressive.
Peter Youngblood Hills, who played Shifty Powers, it's a weird thing. He was born in South Africa to an American mother and a British father, and grew up in both countries, but mostly Britain.
All right.
The American actors are probably the minority in this cast, actually.
Yeah, it's surprising, but yeah.
You got Ron Livingston, Donnie Wahlberg, David Schwimmer, Matthew Settle, Neil McDonough, Michael Cudlitz, Kurt Cassavetes, Scott Grimes, among, again, this small pool.
Yeah.
A lot of the crew actually became friends on set. Like I said, you go through an experience like this, even if it's not as intense as the real life thing would be, you're gonna come out of this with some buddies.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They even do cast reunions and do USO events for the military.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
In fact, there is a group of them who is going to be jumping into Normandy for real on the 80th anniversary of D-Day this year.
Oh, pretty cool.
There's another funny detail about Michael Fassbender's casting in this series.
What's that?
Well, he plays a soldier who can't speak German, when in real life he is German and speaks it fluently.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. That's just how it happened.
A lot of people, I'm assuming, were pretty surprised by David Schwimmer's including in this series, given his more famous role as Ross on Friends.
Yeah, it is quite a different role than Ross.
Yeah, I think I might like Ross even less than Sobel, though.
Yeah.
Neil McDonough, he didn't meet his wife Rouvet on set, but she was in England at the same time as him filming this series, so that's kind of neat.
Yeah, that is kind of neat.
A lot of actors were also got their careers launched by this series too.
Yeah, I can tell.
Damian Lewis on the one hand, his you know what he was doing before this series?
I do not.
He was a telemarketer.
Oh, wow.
Neil McDonough, Michael Cudlitz, Donnie Wahlberg, all of these guys got their careers launched by this series. Or acting career in Wahlberg's case, given he was in a boy band prior.
Yeah. New Kids on the Block.
Yeah.
Yep. You got lots of interesting facts.
Yeah. I try.
Yeah. It's fine. I just got your big pineapple-sized child rolling around on my insides.
Yeah, she likes to move around a lot, but not when I'm looking.
I know. She's been doing it a lot. That's why I'm sitting like this.
You can't see her, but she's sitting like this.
Yeah, I'm sitting like this. It's crazy.
Getting back to Band of Brothers. Yeah, I feel like this is definitely one of the best TV shows I have ever watched. The amount of time we get to spend with all of these characters, the amount of care you have for every single one of them could only be done in this setting.
Yeah, the accuracy and the commitment to getting everything just right is really cool. It's really impressive. Everyone involved in this project did a really good job.
I agree. Now, I do have a few minor gripes with the series, though. Just small things here and there. I'm going to go over them as fast as I can.
Okay. What are your gripes?
It's not necessarily something that this series did wrong, but something that its follow-up series, The Pacific, did better. In that series, we get to see our Marines when they go back home.
Yeah.
We get to see them dealing with, well, what they went through.
Mm-hmm.
We get to see them interacting with their family again and all that. We get to see them interact with their family in that. We didn't get to see any of that in Band of Brothers.
Mm-hmm. So you wanted another episode, or make that one, the last one, a little longer.
Yeah, I feel like it could have been helpful to see them just handle what they've been through. We do see some of that with Winters here and there, but I feel like it could have been interesting to see.
Yeah, it definitely could have been.
And some of the inaccuracies are a bit iffy, but to be fair, they were going off the information that they had, so I'm not too upset about it.
Yeah, I'm not too upset, obviously, because I don't know any information.
So, who was your favorite character in all of this?
It's kind of hard to choose because I like Winters and I like his relationship with Nixon, and I liked the medic, Doc Rowe. So it's, all the characters are really cool, so it's really hard to decide. Do you have a favorite?
I'd say probably either Nixon or Winters.
Yeah, I might have to go. I really don't.
Or maybe Spears.
Yeah.
But also rewatching episode 7, I really liked Lipton again.
Yeah, Lipton was pretty cool. But yeah, for me it's probably Winters, Nixon, or the Doc.
Yeah, they each got pretty good episodes to have the spotlight, and well, it goes to show.
Yeah. They're cool characters.
What was your favorite episode?
That's another hard question. Because there were a lot of good episodes.
Yeah, there's not a bad one in the bunch. Even the one that I like the least, episode 8, it's still a pretty solid episode.
Remind me what happens in episode 8.
That was Webster's episode.
Oh, yeah, I think I do agree with you. That one was my least favorite. Maybe episode 9. I really don't know.
I was going to say episode 9 too.
Yeah. That one sticks out in my mind, so.
Yeah, I think from a storytelling perspective, episode 9 is probably the strongest. We get to see really why they fight. It's the episode's title, Why We Fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's done really well.
But the episode that I like watching the most is episode 10.
It is nice seeing, the characters you like getting to see the end of the war and learning that, they had lives after it.
Yeah, this series, it's a favorite of mine. I try to watch it at least once a year. I've been slacking in the past couple of years, but I'm definitely going to try harder now.
Okay. You do that.
So, we're going to try to get this episode out on June 6th, the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Hopefully we can succeed.
I believe in you. You can do it.
Thanks, homie.
You're welcome.
Hopefully we're also going to be able to watch the Pacifics at some point this year. That'll be another 10-episode series, but I'm sure we can get it done.
Busy year.
Yeah, we got a little baby girl coming.
Yeah. Trust me, I know.
Unless you have anything more to say on Band of Brothers, any closing remarks?
Give it a watch for this year's anniversary of D-Day. That's all you can just do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Watch this series. It's incredible. You will love it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Pretty sure.
So, we'll catch you guys next time.
See you next time.